child is really hurt. The other thing is people get very, very angry, and they want to hurt their friends and people that they are with. I even had an older woman that I had to bring her out of here. She was screaming at her husband. They'd been real sweet. They were in their 70s, and he was holding her arm, helping her.
Really? Wow.
And here, he reached out his arm. She said, "I'm not feeling well." And he reached, "Let me help you." She's, "Don't you touch me!" And I said, "Okay, let's step out here."
Swings for when
EMF too.
Yes.
A high EMF, not like a naturally high EMF in that basement. So just
big time. You thought that you might have been a little disorientated upstairs. Walking in here, you will catch yourself like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We was in a house like that the other day.
All right.
Here we go. Look at that.
Okay, ghosties, we're coming in for a visit. It's a short one. I'll let you hang there until I get good light on.
Okay.
These floors kind of rock and roll, and it's a little odd. We're just going to push the door too, but I'm not going to lock it in case anybody wants to fly. We might need to do that. All right. We talked upstairs about Buck Brady buying the old dilapidated buildings. Everything along this side is from late 1800s to 1907. This section that we're standing in right now, from the right to the left to the center, is the most negative half of this building right here. And you're going to step down, it's curb. We would have been standing outside looking through the window of this building. And inside the window, if you take a peek, you're going to see what they call the well.
Oh, yeah.
And we will work our way around and go inside.
Cool.
Somebody threw a bunch of business cards and trashed it all up last week on one of those weekend tours. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
We've also had the pipes down here freeze 3 times over the winter. They've spent 10 grand to try to put all this back, so the basement's kind of a mess compared to what you guys seen last time you were here. Sorry about that, but it will get back together. We will work our way around in there.
Sorry.
I believe that's part of why it's so negative here, is from the well. There's one that I call Mr. Nasty. If you see him, he's got gray hair, gray beard is the way he shows up, but it's a little short, pointy beard. Something like one of those generals, yes, that would have wore. You usually see him up here. He's got a dog that hangs out with him. It's a big dog like a shepherd, but it's not a full-blooded shepherd. They throw stuff at us from out of that room. They throw stuff from us out of the well. 9 times out of 10, this is the zone where you start getting your headaches, you get disorientated, they start calling your name and messing with you if they're going to. Over here, where he's pointing at, we talked about the earthquakes and the fault lines. Take a step back in here. This crack a year ago wasn't wide enough for my laser to slide through. Now, we had what sounded like a sonic boom last summer. And every time I come down here, it opens about 1/4 inch each time, and it's really moving. Look at the wall behind you. This earth is moving. I told you we got the fault lines under us. Look over here at this wall. You can see it is a slipping and a sliding, and it's doing its thing. Now, when we stand here, a lot of people, it affects you differently. Some feel like it's pulling you down. You feel the sensation of it pulling you. And your equipment, K2 meters and things like that, go a little nuts in this zone too. So it's an odd area.
Come on through.
Okay, going to be careful when we're walking through. They drop beer bottles down chutes, and so they're around. The spirits down here have also been known to throw those beer bottles at us while we're walking around. So keep that in mind too. Okay, everybody stick with me. Come down this way, watch the glass. This section I call the Cowboy Zone, because we get a lot of pictures of Red Masterson in through here. The dance floor is above us here, and the stage is back there. Carriage house would have been against that back wall, and over in that far corner is where the steps would have came down to your dressing rooms. There were dressing rooms over there and dressing rooms over here. These first 2 were bathrooms. The floors are pretty well dilapidated. Those dressing rooms burned down and the steps burned down when that carriage house went. A lady by the name of Jessie. Jessica has long, curly, blonde hair. She is one of the dancers. She sometimes shares the room here with Johanna. The reason the two of them share the room is because George arranged that. The girls didn't really get along from what we hear, but George was an instigator and got kicks out of that sort of thing, so he put them in the same room. This is also the room that I got the photo that looks like a man hanging by his neck from a rope in there. We get images of a boy on the side who's 17. He claims his name is Marcus. He has a New York accent if he talks. He usually shows up wearing a jacket. He is broad. He has a broad nose, looks like he's been punched, that sort of thing, like a boxer's nose. The little girl that hangs out here, Miss Sally, always tells us, be careful, Marcus is bad. Marcus likes to kick and pinch and punch and that sort of stuff. We've tried to cross him over before, but he feels he's not worthy.
I feel something on my back right now, pinching me and pushing on my shoulder blade.
Does he move? What, does Marcus move throughout the
Oh,
basement?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He'll follow
explain.
you back to the
That-
well room and kick you in the shins back there, too.
No, that explains
Okay.
some previous experiences.
Okay. On this side of the mirror, sometimes we'll get an army man that shows up with one of those envelope-style hats that they would wear. The story with that is that one of the dancers upstairs was married, but she was had a affair with this man. And when he would come in, they would come down here. The husband had found him one night and shot him, and that's who we think we're seeing there. There's another man that I've caught in this mirror, but I've also seen him as full-body apparitions walking around this section of the basement. He's very tall. Very slender. He's got a long face. He's got a long hook nose. He wears what looks like big black glasses like a blind man would wear, and he wears a black scarf around his neck. Very sinister feeling when I see him. I think he's associated with the slaughterhouse days, but I'm not for sure. The reason I call this the cowboy zone is because we get the pictures of Red Masterson here. He shows up in a trench coat, tan colored with a black cowboy hat. But I've also seen him in just his blue jeans and his ball cap, and he would dress that way when he was running moonshine.
Was his hat more roundish?
Yeah.
Like a round-brimmed hat?
Yeah. So, Buck was the enforcer, and a lot of people used to come down here and
Picking my
intimidate the
back.
heck out of him. And hoping to get hurt or picked on, and he'd knock you for a loop. And he still is a prankster, and he'll do some stuff from time to time. But I've got to know Buck, and I appreciate it. He's covered my back on more than one occasion. I had one man that was running his mouth off at me, and he was cussing and stuff upstairs at the ghost, and I'd asked him, please don't do that. Well, he started cussing me out, calling me, you shut up, you blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I said, you know what, man? I'd only been doing this a couple of weeks. I didn't know how to handle it. I said, you're on your own. And he laughed, and what's that supposed to mean, ha, ha, ha? I said, well, I don't know, ha, 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 but you're on your own, whatever goes down. He was in his 20s or 30s. He had his parents with him, the older couple. When we got here in the basement, right where you're standing, he went to his knees all the way down. And he's down there and he's moaning, oh, and all this stuff. And I come in, I shine my light, and I go, you joking, right? I mean, because he was such a jerk. I thought he's just being a jerk.
Yeah.
He couldn't talk. He had tears coming out of his face. His eyes, his face was red. He was crying. His mom and dad come over behind him and said, they're holding him. They said, you don't understand. He's a football player. He's a black belt person. He doesn't let people see him cry. Something's wrong. So that's when I laid my hands on him. And I knew it was Red. And I said, Red, back off. Please leave him alone. The man said it backed up. And then we picked him up and we got him in here. And I said, explain to me what you were feeling. He said, I felt like there was a knife being in my gut twisted. He says, I'm so sorry for what I said to you upstairs. I said, you owe Red an apology too. So ever since, when Red stepped up to that plate to help, I asked him, I said, will you please be the enforcer for the children that are down here? Keep Budhead back so we can help them, so we can talk with them and maybe cross a few over. He does that. And when people say something has followed them home, I ask Red if he'll enforce and make them come back. For the most part, Red can do a lot down here. But the one I call Mr. Nasty, that's the dominant in this entire building. That okay. Low overhead and step up.
I don't have that problem.
And my light just went out. Give it back.
My phone died.
Yeah. This room will get us every time.
You gonna borrow mine?
It's okay, came
Okay.
back. Yours is brighter though, if you want to shine it too. This is the tunnel room. This took me about 3 months to be able to work my way back here. At the very front, I would get the push in my chest, very heavy, and they'd push. Headaches, hot, very, very hot, very, very cold. Feeling I was going over a roller coaster. finally I work my way in. They don't mess with me anymore too much. We get very big black streaks of light that come through here, white streaks that come through. The reason it's called the tunnel room is there was a tunnel that went through this wall under the road to the distillery across the street. I have photos that I got from newspaper articles of the room behind this wall filled with 55-gallon barrels of moonshine. That Buck would take to the well. That well never hit water in it. It's basically a tunnel, a drain pit. He opened it up big enough to take those barrels down and put them on barges to supply the northeastern part of the United States. Now, some people see men that are standing there guarding that area. I don't know if those are soldiers or thugs that worked here. I don't know. We also get a lot of children in this area. Timmy is one that used to follow me. He's 12 years old. He's been crossed over a couple of years ago, but there's somebody here posing. Sally was also one that used to follow me. Sally would show up with blonde hair and pigtails. She's got blue eyes, and one of these little eyes would always be kind of drooped and closed. She was mentally challenged. She had claimed that her father had locked her in a closet back here and left her in the 1800s. She would call me mommy and follow us around and do all kinds of fun things with us. At one time, there were about 18 children here. I knew most of their names, and just on calling them out, they would be here and start interacting with anything we wanted to do. At this point, give me my light back, I don't know who we're dealing with. I don't trust anything.
Right.
There's something coming up claiming to be Timmy and Sally, but they have black eyes. It's not my Timmy and Sally anymore. So if they want to play and interact, we'll do that. And I said, sure, you want me to call you Sally? I'll call you Sally for today. But when I walk out the door, I leave it all behind. Don't think of it. Don't feel sorry for anything down here. Don't really believe it's some little kid that's trapped. Possibility maybe, but odds are
Probably
greater
not.
that it is not.
Right.
So just keep that in your mind. They claim that there's at least 3 bodies that have been underneath here. This section, I know for a fact the bones have been pulled up out of this hole. The bones have been put back in that hole. We don't know if they're animal or human.
Right.
We don't go beyond the steps because there's 400 amps of electricity. That's
Yeah.
going to fry your equipment and
Right.
hook it up to. This is the old tree, and when we come in with an Avi Lakes X or a ghost box, we're constantly talking about the old tree. It's one of the original posts that hold us up. And back in the 1800s, or whenever this all started, I'm not going to say 1800s, it's just back in the day, when immigrants came from their homeland to a new country, many of them would bring a tree from their homeland. They would use it as a support post in their home, and this was supposed to help bring good fortune and luck in their new place. We're thinking maybe this is what this is, and that's why it has survived all these years without being moved as they kept adding on and on around this place. Above us are the stairs that go up to that apartment, and many times when we're standing here, we'll hear the walking and the footsteps above us.
Well, we're getting ready to wrap up our investigation here at Mr. Bobby Mackey's. We've had a great time. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
your
coming.
information and the tour and everything. We really appreciate it.
I had a great time with you. You come back anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you guys.
Never enough, never enough. No, I know it's never enough, never enough. No, I know it's never enough, never enough. No, I know it's never enough. Dizzy at the top of the skies. Nothing ever let me get quite this high. And I